I'm finally out of my book slump. I just finished reading Ghost Station by S.A Barnes. This is a library copy, so I'm not going to really hold it up too much because of that reflection of the lamination. This is a space horror. I really enjoyed Dead Silence, which I reviewed last year by this author. Amazing, stunning. So I did have high hopes with this book, and I did really enjoy it, but I did also see a bunch of reviews prior to reading this book and saw that some people were disappointed, so I do want to discuss that as well. The first half of this video is going to be spoiler-free, and then I let you know when the spoilers begin, and that's when we're going to talk about the ending. So you're following a crew. So the crew is on an ancient abandoned planet, and they're trying to survive while also doing research. Basically, the inhabitants of this planet kind of abruptly left, and they have no idea why. What was the reason? Are they alive? Are they dead? Why did they leave? Was it monsters? Was it aliens? Was it like a lack of a sustainable environment or like atmosphere? You're not really sure. You're just coming into it from the point of view of the protagonist, who's Ophelia, and she's a psychologist with a lot of trauma of her own, and she's basically dedicated the rest of her life to trying to do some research on the syndrome that occurs within people who are doing space missions for a prolonged period of time, like the claustrophobia, what the effects that space travel has on the mind and body. So she's doing all this research. So she's joining into a crew that is already kind of a family. They've already had a lot of missions together. They've spent years together. She's the outsider, and obviously they're a little bit apprehensive about having a psychologist who's going to be analyzing them or judging them. They have just lost, this is in the blurb, so it's not a spoiler, they just lost a teammate under weird circumstances, which you kind of learn about later on in the book as well. I think it's interesting. It's definitely a slow burn. To me, it didn't really feel like a slow burn because I read it within 10 hours. Like, I was intrigued because I like her style of writing. I could definitely see where some of the disappointment comes from because you're with Ophelia for so long, and there's constant flashbacks kind of in the middle of the moment. Like, she'll be doing this research or following everyone as they're analyzing this ancient city with, like, you don't know what's going on really, but this obviously there's like these ruins from another species, and you kind of learn about that, which I thought was really interesting. And I actually really like the lore, the world building she does. So she'll be in the middle of like learning these things or investigating, like they're in like in an abandoned city, right? And then suddenly she'll have a flashback. So I think it kind of takes away a little bit from what's currently happening, but I know it's necessary to kind of learn the character and learn her motives and learn, you know, all these things. I still enjoyed it. I thought it was, there's a little bit of romance, and I know a lot of people didn't like it. They thought it was cringy or just like she should be getting a grip. Basically, she meets one of the captains, or I don't know what his role is in this crew, I forgot already, but he's a little bit abrasive. Everyone's a little bit nervous about having her around, probably just because of all these preconceived notions of what a psychologist does, of what kind of analyzing is going to happen. Like, is this person judging us? You know, this is a group that's been a family for a while now, who have worked through a lot of things, who have lost a member and have been mourning her. So I enjoyed the little bit of romance it was. It was honestly nothing compared to Dead Silence, which is also very little as well. I would love to see this author kind of bring more romance into her novels. I think that would be a lot of fun. The only thing I didn't like about this book is kind of the solution at the end. It feels a little bit too easy. It feels a little bit too rushed. A lot of it is so slow, then you hit the midway point where some things happen and then it's action, action, action. But the actual solution, like the remedy to everything, the outcome is super rushed. That's the only thing I don't like. I also felt that about Dead Silence, that the ending just could use a little bit more work. It kind of seems like the solution's a little bit too easy for everything that we have just gone through. And now I'm going to talk about spoilers. Basically, they fall asleep, like they're in this, they get rescued and they're asleep for years, and that helps get the alien substance out of their body. So the alien spaceships, not spaceships, the alien cities that they were investigating, basically they were alive. Like, it's super hard to explain. I don't have the capability of explaining it, even though I totally understood it. It's just been a couple days since I've read this book. I have to note to self, learn to do these reviews right away. But basically, while they were exploring these cities, some of that substance kind of was put into their body and is kind of affecting the way they act, the way they speak. They start worshiping this city and they don't want to leave, even though it's uninhabited as far as we know. But clearly the buildings and the stuff, I don't know, it's a whole thing. It was cool, but the solution was them being like asleep for like 10 years while the scientists back at home kind of helped remove that from their body. So it just, a lot of the solution happens off camera, off screen, off the page. I didn't really like that, but honestly I had fun with this book. It really got me out of that book slump that I've been dealing with for a really long time that I mentioned in my previous video. So I'm excited. It kind of makes me want to go deeper into the genre. I feel like because it was classified as space horror, I think that's where the disappointment comes. I think this is just suspense, maybe even a thriller aspect kind of genre. It wouldn't disappoint as much to people who have expectations. Space horror, you think kind of like gory and scary. I mean, everyone has a different horror is also super subjective, but It's not super gory, it's not super violent, it's action-packed for sure, like the last half. But I enjoyed this a lot. It's just hard to talk about without the spoilers. But basically that's the solution. I like the captain. I like Ophelia. I think she's a little bit annoying with her constantly having to think back to what's happened. But I think that happens. Sometimes your mind kind of wanders while you're doing a task. And, you know, you think about the traumas of your past. And that's life. Anyway, I would love to know what you think about this book. So let me know down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye.